How is your day going so far, aside from having to talk to media people?
Yeah, it's been fine. I've just been out walking the dog for an hour, so he was very happy with that. I've been listening to mixes all day. I've been sending new stuff out to people, and I've been talking about the tours coming up, and it's just every day is like absolutely manic at the moment. And my wife's broken her leg, so
Oh,
she's not in good place. But yeah.
oh. Well, before I ask you about the tour and the new live album, are you Howard to everyone? Are you Hojo? What do you like to be called?
Yeah, I'm Howard. Yeah, I'm just Howard, just
Well,
regular.
well, it's great to see that you have a new live album. And I say that because you were one of the last gigs I saw before the pandemic. I happened to be in Park City, Utah on a
All
press
right.
trip, and I'm looking, okay, what gigs are in town? Oh, Howard Jones. And I saw your live show, and it really impressed me because it reminded me of like an early MTV Unplugged, where it's the person playing the songs you want to hear, telling the stories about it, but at the same time, it's very open and based on audience reaction. When did you actually start this format of being able to do that versus relying on the synths and the electronics?
Well, I mean, I just think that my career is in a way it's in two parts. You know, there's the songwriting side of me that plays the piano. You know, I played the piano since I was 7, and I can sit down and entertain a room just on my own with the piano, and
Mhm.
really should give it expression to that. Um, and that's where that came from. And I just got, I mean, I just got better at doing it, telling the stories. You know, the more you do it, the more confident you get. It's not a natural thing for me. I'm not a natural bon vivant at dinner parties or anything like that. But when when I've got the attention of the audience, I can, you know, make them laugh and tell them some interesting tales. But so that's one side, and then the other side is the, you know, my love of electronic music and synths and like synth orchestras, and you know, so for me both complement each other because they the one that the one, you know, the acoustic side keeps me very focused on my chops and my playing,
Mhm.
and also my singing being in tune and all that stuff. And then the electronic side is more of a sort of, you know, bigger shows and more of a show type thing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a consistent thing about your career, which I've admired for a long time, is how you've been willing to change it up. Not just this acoustic trio kind of show that
Mm,
you do,
mm,
but you were an early fan of podcasts, or at least you made
mm,
your music serviceable to podcasts. I like the fact that you were willing to co-write for top 40 artists, as you did for the Sugar Babes. A lot
mm.
of artists didn't really come into co-writing until I would say the early 2010s. So you were ahead of the curve there. So how much of what you're doing these days is organic versus a manager or somebody going, "Hey, keep an eye out for this"?
It's very organic. I mean the incentive to keep doing stuff really comes from me, and I realized that even when I was with Warner Brothers, you know, for 5 albums, I realized that you've got to drive it, even when you've got this amazing international team, you know, working for you. It's got to come from you, and the enthusiasm has to come from me. And
Mhm.
so I found it, you know, I realized that when my deal finished with Warner Brothers, I was ready to go, you know, independent and make all my own decisions. But also that means you've got to set yourself an agenda. You know, I know what the next album is going to be called. I know what the album after that's going to be called, and
Mhm.
you know, I set myself goals so that I can keep being productive, and you know, not just standing still. I hate the idea of not progressing as an artist. You know.
Hmm. Yes, I think that goes in line with what I'm saying. We've seen
Mm,
evolution, and it makes me think that although you said it's organic, I really admire how you realized at an early point, I don't need a major label. I don't need to play
mm,
the traditional radio game. I
mm,
can do the touring thing and live on, you know, the occasional
mm,
one off
mm,
collaboration. When did you
mm.
start to see the tide turn where it wasn't about record deals and hit singles and major label backing anymore?
Well, I honestly think that for um, artists and even anybody, a normal person, right, cannot be under the spotlight for their entire life, because they, as we've seen, people go crazy and they cannot handle it. They crack.
Right.
And I think I realized that early, that that wasn't really for me. I wanted to be doing my music, but really take it seriously. And obviously that means your audience is going to be smaller, and your reach is going to be smaller, but the quality of that, I have real control over, so everything that goes out, everything that I do, if I'm not happy with it, it doesn't go out. So, the pressure will only come from me and not from outside. And also I also really care about what the fans think and what they would like me to do as well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of projects that you're passionate about, the latest live album, Live at Union Chapel. Are you the kind of artist that records every single show, or did you specifically know this is the thing that we're taping and it potentially will be a live album if it tapes well?
We just got some new equipment and a new desk that we take everywhere with us now that has got great capacity to record everything, very high quality, multi-track. And we had been doing some festivals during the summer, and that helped with like rehearsals and stuff. But when we came to do the trio at Union Chapel, that is a beautiful acoustic to record acoustic music in. So I thought, we definitely must record. And it was lucky that we were able to do it, because we're still in the pandemic, and would anybody come? Because out of fear of, which I totally understand. So I thought, this is something to really capture this moment of us being able to do a show like that. And I don't know what happened, but it really was a fantastic performance with me and the guys, Robin and Nick. And when I heard the multi-track, I thought, all right, I want to mix this myself. I know exactly how this should sound. So I spent, quite a few months actually mixing it. But it was such a great performance by everybody that it took, it wasn't difficult to mix, if you know what I mean.
That's cool to hear that you're hands-on with that. I say that because as somebody who's worked in artist management, I'm aware of live albums where they recorded all the shows or multiple shows, and then they just said to somebody on the team, listen to this, and as long as there's no mistakes, just put together a track listing and we'll have a live album that way.
Yeah, I mean, normally when you record a live gig, there's usually several things that go wrong. At least several things, but I don't know. It's because we hadn't done the show for quite a while, so there was a lot of genuine focus and excitement about playing it again, and it just one of those nights, it just really works. And it's going to be one of my favorite albums at the end of the day, because it really works.
A lot of my favorite albums are live albums, Cheap Trick at Budokan, Kiss Alive. But as time goes on, the more people have spilled the beans of going, well, that bass drum was not the bass drum you heard at the concert that night. In your case, this sounds like the show.
It is the show. I obviously tuned a bit of the vocals because I'm absolutely paranoid about my singing.
Really?
So I tuned, for me, like, it has to be. So I tuned, some notes that were a bit dodgy. That's what you would always do. However, everything else is like as it was played. If there was a slight issue, then I would duck that instrument just slightly. If there was just maybe a clashing note or so. But really, it's a very honest recording, which I'm kind of proud of, really. And the boys are proud of too.
Yeah. Do you have a studio follow-up in mind as a follow-up to Transform? Is that something, because let's face it, you were holed up inside longer these past 2 years than your whole life.
Yeah. No, exactly. I used my time to write, and I'm 4 tracks in with the electronic album. It's going to be called Dialogue, and I'm very excited about it. It's sort of, because I had so much time to experiment and really concentrate on the writing and the sounds and stuff, it's got extra attention to everything. So I'm I can't wait for people to hear it. I mean, we've done 4 tracks. I'll probably do
Mhm.
another 4 before the summer, where we're going to tour with it.
Wow. Okay. I'd say it goes both ways with artists that I've spoken with over the last 2 years, where I would say half of them had writer's block and they just couldn't find any inspiration based on the fact that they weren't living their normal lives. And the other half had nothing to do but write. So they've written more than ever. It sounds like, though, it wasn't the most prolific period for you, though.
No, I don't. I would say it was much more difficult to motivate oneself to get in the studio, but I just forced myself to do at least like 2 or 3 hours a day, even if it was a struggle. And you thought, well, whenever am I going to be able to play this to people? Whenever am I going to be able to release this? And your motivation has to come from another place. And I thought the fans will be so pleased to hear all this new stuff, So I just looked ahead and imagined that happening. That's I could totally. All my artist friends felt the same, and I didn't write any lyrics during this time deliberately, because the mood was so dark, for most people, locked away. I thought, I'm going to wait until we come out of the pandemic, and then I'll approach the lyrics with a kind of celebratory feel, and that's what I've done.
Any hobbies or other creative passions that developed as a result of not putting the focus on touring or writing lyrics?
No, I don't really have hobbies.
Wow.
I have so much in my life. I practice Buddhism, so I have a responsibility in that world to look after other people who practice. So that takes a big chunk of my time. And we have a dog, which I love to bits, and I've got friends. I like watching, visual art as well. The great stuff we've had on all the new streaming services. So yeah, I mean, it's really, I just don't. No, I don't have time for any kind of hobby now.
I thought I'd read somewhere that you were a stock market guy. Is that totally made up?
That's absolutely no. I couldn't be more wrong. No, I'm not a stock market.
I think it was a pop-up video bubble that they were doing one of your videos, and it said, Howard invested well in the 80s. That is why he is able to focus on artistry the rest of his life and enjoy it. There was some stupid bubble like that. And I think that made me think, oh, stock market guy.
No, I'm not, I'm just not one of that. No, I don't think about that at all. In fact, I don't want to make money in that way.
Right.
I mean, I had an apple, a color apple. The first one I had was like in the middle of the 80s, 1986 or something. And if I'd have put a bunch of money into that, I mean, but I'm not interested in, I want to make money that is clean money to me. It's like people want to hear the music and that's it. I don't want to make it in some sort of, because when you make money in those ways, somebody's losing out, aren't there? Somebody out there is losing out. I don't really want that to be the case.
Well said. Well, 2 quick questions and then you're free. And the first one is, do any photos exist of you and Howard Jones from the band Killswitch Engage?
No. I've never met Howard, the other Howard. No.
Because the funny thing about that is, obviously, you're the guy who sold millions upon millions of records, but the Wikipedia entries, it for you says Howard Jones parentheses British musician, and then for him it says Howard Jones parentheses American musician. They have to have that distinction there.
Good. Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to know is, although you said you don't really have any hobbies, is there a TV show that you could recommend, or a streaming kind of program if somebody wants a new show to start?
Well, I tell you, it's absolutely vitally important that people watch the David Byrne American Utopia, recorded on Broadway. It's absolutely blew me away as a musical, as a cultural event. So good, and I've watched it several times already, so I definitely recommend that. And then I'm really enjoying Ozark. That's great. You've got to watch all that. That's so good, so well done.
Yeah. Good recommendations right there. Well, congratulations on the live album, getting back on the road, and really just staying true to yourself all these decades later. I'm glad to see you out there, and really thank you for the decades of great art, Howard.
Well, thank you very much. It's really great talking with you, as usual. Thank you so much.
Paltrocast.